Hello everyone. My name is Kim Boone. Today, the topic for our seminar is social stigma and illness behavior across cultures. Imagine when you are entering an elevator, and what is the first thing you do? If you are like most people, you probably walked onto the platform not uttering a word. Then, after you found an empty spot to stand in, you turned to face the doors, but instead of watching those doors, you probably pushed the button for your desired floor, then proceeded to watch the lighted indicator lights until the desired floor was reached, at which time you left the platform to go where you wished. Good enough? The next time you get onto an elevator, try an experiment. The next time you enter an elevator, instead of remaining silent, greet everyone with a hearty wave of your hand, loudly saying, "Hi, everybody." Then, don't turn around. Remain standing facing everyone else on the elevator and smile. And if you really have a lot of nerve, ask everyone how their day went. Congratulations! You have just violated several social stigmas. Basically, social stigma is the extreme disapproval of or discontent with a person or group on socially characteristic grounds that are perceived, and serve to distinguish them, from other members of a society. Stigma may then be affixed to such a person, by the greater society, who differs from their cultural norms. Social stigma can, among other things, result from the perception of mental disorder, physical disabilities, diseases such as leprosy, illegitimacy, sexual orientation, gender identity, skin tone, education, nationality, ethnicity, ideology, religion or criminality. Attributes associated with social stigma often vary depending on the geopolitical and corresponding socio-political contexts employed by society, in different parts of the world. Irving Goffman was one of the most influential sociologists of the 20th century. He defined stigma as the phenomenon whereby an individual with an attribute which is deeply discredited by his or her society is rejected as a result of the attribute. Stigma is a process by which the reaction of others spoils normal identity. According to Goffman, there are three forms of social stigma. The first form is overt or external deformations. An example of the first stigma could be having a growth deformity where one of your arms is smaller than the other, or maybe someone was born with a missing finger or toe. Basically, any deformities on a person's body will characterize them in this type of stigma based on Goffman's ideology. Second form is the deviations in personal traits. Some examples of the second one could be mental disorder, imprisonment, addiction, alcoholism, homosexuality, unemployment, suicidal attempts, and radical political behavior. Last form is the tribal stigmas, which are traits. Tribal stigma is stigmas that are passed on genetically, like race and ethnicity, or generationally, like religion. What all of these types of stigma have in common is that they each have the same sociological features. Individuals who might have been received easily in normal social intercourse have traits that express attention upon themselves who turn those of us whom they meet away from themselves, breaking the claim that their other attributes have on us. Ethnic group, nationality, or of religion that is deemed to be a deviation from the prevailing normative ethnicity, nationality or religion. There are 6 dimensions that are related to stigma. Concealable, which means the extent to which others can see the stigma. Course of the mark can be described as whether the stigma's prominence increases, decreases, or remains consistent over time. Disruptiveness, the degree to which the stigma and/or others' reaction to it impedes social interactions. Aesthetics, the subset of others' reactions to the stigma comprising reactions that are positive or approving or negative, disapproving but represent estimations of qualities other than the stigmatized person's inherent worth or dignity. Origin, whether others think the stigma is present at birth, accidental, or deliberate. Peril, the danger that others perceive, whether accurately or inaccurately, the stigma to pose to them. Ultimately, stigma is about social control. A corollary to this is that stigma is necessarily a social phenomenon. Without a society, one cannot have stigma. To have stigma, one must have a stigmatizer and someone who is stigmatized. As such, this is a dynamic and social relationship. Social stigmas can occur in many different places and for many different reasons. Even more interestingly, as cultural mores evolve, Social stigmas can change, and often very quickly. A good example of this is the furor that has been created over the rights of homosexuals throughout history. There was a time when homosexuality was something that, although it existed, it was practically never discussed or even acknowledged. In recent years, homosexuality has become more openly acknowledged and in some cases, even celebrated, as in the case of certain public figures who have recently come out. Homosexuality is only one instance of a social stigma that was generally considered so until it has devolved as an issue. These are my references. That is all for my presentation. Thank you.